It is now time for us to do a reminder of stories that made headlines last week. It is Tracking the Week.
Let's track the week. On Monday, former Imo State Governor Rochas Okorocha has pleaded not guilty to 17-count charge by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission EFCC bordering on alleged money laundering to the tune of 2.9 billion naira. Okorocha, a 7th senator representing Imo West Senatorial District, had during his time as Imo State Governor allegedly converted to personal use proceeds from sales of state property lodged in the Joint State Local Government Project account. The anti-graft agency, which said it plans to present about 13 to 15 witnesses in the trial, alleges that the politician had used the 5 companies which are co-defendants in the suit to carry out the alleged crime. Still on Monday, the People's Democratic Party (PDP) presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar met the governor of Rivers State, Nyesom Wike. Monday's meeting was held at Wike's residence in Abuja hours after Atiku beat him to the party's presidential ticket. Atiku said in a tweet, "A continuation of my commitment to bring everyone on board in ensuring that PDP stands as one united party." Earlier, I visited His Excellency Governor Nyesom Wike at his Abuja residence. This is a continuous process. It is, I ever believed, to be part of moves to reconcile the door ahead of the presidential election build for next year. Also on Monday, ahead of the All Progressive Congress APC presidential primaries scheduled to take place between June 6 and June 8, the ruling All Progressive Congress on Monday commenced the screening of its presidential aspirants. The 2-day screening exercise was scheduled for Monday and Tuesday. The screening committee, which was led by former national chairman of the party, Chief John Adige Oyegu, swung into action on Monday, screening very important aspirants, including Bola Ahmed Tinubu and former Governor of Rivers State Rotimi Amechi. Other aspirants screened, among the 8 of them screened as at press time include Tunde Bakari, Uju Kennedy Ohane, Nicholas Felix Nwagbo, Sani Yerima, Senator Ajayi Boniface, and Governor Dave Umahi. On Tuesday, President Muhammadu Buhari met with governors of the All Progressive Congress APC ahead of the ruling party's national convention to produce its presidential candidate for the 2023 general elections. The president charged the governors to pick a presidential candidate that reflects all the values and virtues of the party. The president appealed to all governors to allow their interests, coverage, and their focus remain on the changing dynamics of the environment, the expectations of the citizens, and the global community. Speaking on behalf of the state's housemen, Governor Atiku Bagudu of Kebbi State and Chairman Progressive Governors Forum said the party must build on successes of its recent elective convention and primaries conducted so far and come up with a candidate who will walk in the footsteps of patriotism and love for the country, which Mr. President has shown. Also on Tuesday, President Muhammadu Buhari departed Abuja for Madrid, Spain, on a state visit at the invitation of the Spanish President Pedro Sanchez. At a separate meeting during the visit, the first by the Nigerian leader, President Buhari, was to meet with the head of state of the Spanish nation, His Majesty King Felipe VI. During his engagements with both leaders, the Nigerian president was to discuss issues of mutual interest to both countries, which will expectedly result in the signing of agreements and memoranda of understanding on a wide range of topics geared towards further enhancing the bilateral relations between the two nations. Femi Adesina, special advisor to the president on media and publicity, said such areas include extradition and transfer of convicted prisoners and persons, mutual legal assistance, cultural matters, cooperation towards fighting crime and enhancing security, as well as issues affecting dependence of diplomatic staff. On Wednesday, a member of the House of Representatives, Bamidele Salam, tasked President Muhammadu Buhari to act fast and decisively in securing the release of the remaining kidnapped victims of the Abuja Kaduna train attack. Salami, who represents Ede North, Ede South, Egbedore, Ejigbo Federal Constituency of Osun State, also called on his colleagues in the National Assembly and Nigerians at large to join him in urging President Buhari to do all that is within his power, as the Commander-in-Chief of Armed Forces, to free the victims and many others languishing in captivity. Meanwhile, Chairman of the Public Account Committee of the House of Representatives, Representative Wole Oke, called for the review of the Fiscal Responsibility Act for proper utilization of the economy. He said there is no coordination and discipline in revenue generation and economy of Nigeria, which has caused stunted growth and development in the country. The lawmaker charged the presidency to ensure that all MDA's budget be presented to the parliament with the federal government budget to avoid misappropriation. Also on Wednesday, the federal government approved the Ministry of Petroleum Resources memo for the NNPC Limited to execute a Memorandum of Understanding MOU with ECOWAS for the construction of the Nigerian-Morocco gas pipeline. Minister of State for Petroleum Resources Timipre Silva announced this as part of the resolutions reached on Wednesday's Federal Executive Council meeting presided over by Vice President Yemi Osinbajo. This gas line will take gas to 15 West African countries and to Morocco, and through Morocco to Spain and to Europe. Also, the Council has set up a special effort to look at the sectors of the economy that are not growing and also look at how to grow the other sectors better. This followed the review of the report from the Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning for the first quarter of 2022 GDP report. And now on Thursday, a Federal High Court in Abuja granted permission to the detained Deputy Commissioner of Police, DCP Abba Kyari, to file additional evidence against the suit by the federal government to seek and extradite him to the United States of America for trial on criminal charges. Justice Ian Eko granted the request on Kyari made through his lead counsel, Nureni Jimo, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, in a motion on notice. Jimo, while arguing the motion, prayed the court to allow Kyari bring additional documentary exhibits to establish his innocence and the charges against him. Counsel to the federal government, Pius Akuta, however, opposed to granting the request. Akuta's opposition was on the ground that it was an attempt to cure deficiencies in the earlier documented evidence adduced by the detained DCP Kyari. In a brief ruling, Justice Eko rejected the objection of the federal government and granted permission to Kyari to give further documentary exhibits to his own defense. Also on Thursday, the suspended Accountant General of the Federation, Ahmed Idris, was released on bail by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC. EFCC spokesperson Wilson Wojaren confirmed the development. The EFCC had arrested Idris on May 16 over an 80 billion naira alleged fraud. He was arrested after failing to honor the Commission's invitations to respond to issues connected to the fraudulent act, the EFCC said. After his arrest, the Minister of Finance, Zainab Ahmed, suspended Idris. The suspension was contained in a letter by the minister dated May 18, in which she said the move was necessitated by the need to allow for proper and unhindered investigation into the serious allegations in line with public service rules. Still on Thursday, one of the frontline presidential aspirants of All Progressive Congress APC, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, said he led political struggle that produced President Muhammadu Buhari in 2015. Tinubu also categorically said he nominated Professor Yemi Osinbajo as Buhari's running mate. He said Buhari had offered him a running mate ticket, but some blocs rose against it, fanning ember of Muslim ticket. He added that he later settled for Osinbajo as running mate. In his remarks, Abiodun, who had earlier declared his support for Osinbajo's candidature, refused to endorse Tinubu. On Friday, the Federal Capital Territory High Court remanded Peter Nwachukwu's husband of the late gospel singer Osinachi in the Kuje Correctional Facility pending the hearing and determination of the homicide-related suit instituted against him by the Attorney General of the Federation, Justice Njideka Owosu-Ehime gave the order Friday after he pleaded not guilty to a 23-count charge bordering on domestic violence and homicide, amongst others. The trial judge ordered that the suspect remanded at the correctional facility with trial has been adjourned to June 16. Wachuku's wife died on April 8, raising suspicion from her colleagues that accused him of subjecting the deceased to domestic violence, leading to a eventual death. Still on Friday, Justice Iangeko of the Federal High Court in Abuja fixed August 29 for judgment in a suit seeking to extradite the suspended Deputy Commissioner of Police DCP Abba Kyari to the United States of America over allegations of internet fraud. The judge fixed the date on Friday after taking arguments for and against the suit by parties involved. Kyari, whose arguments were presented by senior lawyer Nureri Jimo, asked the court to refuse the extradition request on the ground that he committed no offense to warrant the federal government ferrying him to America. The suspended police chief informed the court that more than a year before the arrest, he had written the Attorney General of the Federation, AGF, and Inspector General of Police, IGP, notifying them that he had opened a channel of communication with the suspected internet fraudster, Ramon Abbas. Also on Friday, ahead of the 2023 general elections, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, released regulations and guidelines for the conduct of elections in Nigeria. Chairman INEC, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, disclosed this while speaking at a special meeting of the Interagency Consultative Committee on Elections Security, ICCES, to review security arrangement for Ekiti State governorship elections held at INEC headquarters in Abuja Friday. He said it was pertinent for the Commission to review the regulations and guidelines to govern the conduct of elections in the country with the coming into force of the Electoral Act 2022. And finally, on Friday, the All Progressive Congress APC Presidential Screening Committee disqualified 10 of its aspirants out of 23 presidential aspirants jostling for the position. Chairman of the committee, John Oyegun, announced these on Friday after submitting the committee report to the NWC of the party. Oyegun did not disclose the identity of the qualified or disqualified candidates, but hinted that 99% of the aspirants agreed to a consensus agreement and arrangement. And that's Tracking the Week.